Hello there, Taurus, and welcome to your final forecast of the year. This is for December 2019, and I really enjoy these December readings because I kind of view them as a chance to clear out the cobwebs. Thankfully, you already went through some of that in retrograde, which I know you're probably just as happy as I am that that's finished, but this month is your last chance to kind of check off any items that you need to on your goals and your dreams, and really do whatever's necessary to hit the road running in 2020. So with that being said, let's get started here. I'd like to begin by saying thank you for everybody that's been with me for the past 5+ years. You make this all worthwhile, and I appreciate your love, your support, and basically that you show up each and every month and continue to work on yourself, so thank you. If you're brand new, I'd like to give you a warm welcome to the channel and a quick overview of everything that I do from month to month. I like to start these videos with channeled information. The way that I achieve that is I select a deck of cards, I meditate, whatever I feel, hear, or see, then I share with you after that. Then I move along to a full Celtic Cross, and this is when I use the cards alone to really get a roadmap for what's coming through. As I read each card, then my intuition kicks in, and I'll share with you whatever you need to know, the highs, the lows, and any of the potential roadblocks that might be coming through. After that, then we expand the forecast to look at some very specific areas that I know that you appreciate, and that includes health, wealth, love, and destiny. That's the expanded forecast. Each video can be used for your sun sign, your rising, as well as your moon. You can also watch on behalf of someone that you care about in your life. By the way, if you don't happen to know sun, rising, and moon, just stick with the sign that you were born under, and that's going to give you all the guidance that you need. Now, if you like what you see here, and I certainly hope you do, then please stick around until the very end. At that point, in addition to reviewing all the cards and the messages that we received today, I'll also give you a closing word. And if you're interested, I'll give you some information on how you can give back to the channel. This includes everything from liking and subscribing, sharing what you see across social media, booking an appointment if you're interested, or also becoming a patron. Again, I'll get into all of this later, but I know right here and right now you'd like to hear about the forecast, so let's talk about the channeled information for the month of December. As I meditated on your sign, there were a few images that came through to me. The first thing that I saw was an activation around the heart chakra, this beautiful green energy that was spreading throughout your entire chakra system and also your body. And that's the energy of love, that's the energy of forgiveness. It's a form of passion, but it's not really sort of the passion that we would see maybe in the second chakra. This is sort of passion for living, passion for loving, doing something that you love. So the heart area really wanted to open up. That was the first thing that I saw. And then possibly because I work so much with plants, what I also saw there was sort of like, it was almost as if the energy was opening out into some petals or into some leaves that were kind of opening up. So I saw that there's going to be this unfurling or revealing that happens when you allow yourself to kind of go into something that you love. And I also feel like it's very important for you to either be in a place where you can receive, just like a plant would receive sunlight. It opens up, it stretches out, it allows for the light to come through, the water to come through, it puts its roots into the soil as well. It really is something that's not afraid to ask and to receive from all of the elements all around it. So the fact that I saw the heart space open and then I was kind of seeing a plant superimposed on that area is showing me that you need to take care of yourself. I wrote down in automatic writing 2 words, to nurture and to nourish. And do this, of course, for you, for yourself. And these things are not just about your body. So of course, because I wrote that, you should make sure that you're eating well, that you're sleeping properly, and that everything around you is as supportive and as gentle as it can be. But I really think the nourishing and the nurturing are slightly more active things that you will take ownership of. So if there's something that you've been considering doing, this could be going back to school, it could be just setting aside some time to take care, to spend time with people that you love, doing something that really makes your heart sing and open up. This is going to be essential to, as I said, kind of clear the cobwebs and allow for you to be in a place where you can receive the opportunities that want to come in this month and also in 2020. So when you take care of yourself, when you set those boundaries so that you can be happy, so that you can receive, then you actually send a note out to the universe that you're ready for the abundance to flow through. If you close down this area, or if you give to the point that you're on empty, then you're showing that you're not ready to receive because you can't take care of yourself. So you have to slow down, open up, listen, and when you do that, you may notice that there's an opportunity or something right around the horizon that prior to you taking that time, you couldn't see. This is basically the most positive reading that I could get of like the Four of Cups, which is once you slow down, once you open up, once you count your blessings and listen, you see something there and you're like, that's always been there. I just wasn't open to it. Sometimes the Four of Cups can be missing something, but in this case, I think when you slow down and kind of turn around and look, you're going to see something. But I think this could happen during an activity that you love or simply because you become more perceptive. So a great time to take a class, a great time to read, to do any activity that brings you joy for the express purpose of just that. This does not have to be productive. It may even be better if it's just fun, because when you do that, then you are basically feeding your heart and your soul, and then you're going to be more productive, you're going to be more open, and you'll be even more able to take care of people in your life, whether it's a coworker, a child, a parent that needs your assistance, whoever it is. Once you love yourself, then you can love others, okay? So that's the message this month. Self-care and then being in a place to receive. And not kind of putting a demand on what you're going to receive. You could simply kind of have this mantra: I'm ready for love and abundance in all forms. And you could say in the highest possible light, something like that if you'd like to add it to it. But basically just being open, I think, is going to be beneficial, and it could help improve health and also resources coming into your life. Let's go ahead now and transition into the Celtic Cross and see what additional messages the cards have to say. At this point, I'm going to turn the camera down, remain quiet, but afterwards we'll talk about everything that I'm seeing here and relate it to the month ahead. There's a very powerful image that came through here for your catalyst. Let's look at it upright so that we can understand it better, and then I'll break down what the reversal means. The first thing that I'm drawn to each time I look at this is the center, which is that egg. And for me, this is showing something that is about to happen, but that can't be rushed. Notice that there is a lot of energy and support around this. We see both the belly and then also hands kind of supporting and holding this. So for me, on a symbolic high level, this means to hold space for something to happen. It's showing that your energy this month is very fertile. Whatever you decide to put into something, you're going to get a return on that. It's kind of like the Eight of Pentacles or even the Ace of Pentacles. This is about, I would say, creation, but creation that is going to require patience, diligence, and also, I would say, perseverance. This is a month where if you put your mind to something, you absolutely can start to see and feel it happening. But I think some of you could be experiencing some impatience or even a tangible block that is going to make it necessary to wait for a proper amount of time before you can let something go. Because I get the energy of a divine mother or the empress in this, I think that one of the great things is you can ask for help. And that's something that sometimes a caretaker or someone who even has a lot of energy around trying to control things may have a hard time doing. So don't be afraid to ask. And don't be afraid to draw some limits around what's going on. So if you need the time, ask for it. If you need the help, ask for it. These things could help create a little bit of momentum here. But this egg is very much indicative almost of like an hourglass to me. There's only so much you can push something like this to happen. So be patient, be perseverant, and keep putting energy into it. I think those are the most important messages here. So I see Divine Feminine. I also see the Magician through this card because we see as above, so below. Two hands here pointed in the upright position, two pointed towards the earth. And because this card came through in the reverse position, I would say one of the illusions that's coming through this month is that you are either incapable of or maybe not allowed to ask for things to come through. So again, focusing on being able to receive, being able to ask, be able to set those limits, that's really, really key for you. Once you do that, I see things starting to take shape, to take form, and you're also going to feel like suddenly you're a little bit more in control of things. So just like the Magician, you can do whatever you want if you put your mind to it. Also, in order to be able to bring something into fruition, taking care of it and taking care of you is necessary. So the nurturing and nourishing message is just as much about your self-care as it is about realizing a dream, a goal, or an ambition. The last thing that I'm seeing in this is that for some of you, there is a project within a project or an idea within an idea. And one of the blocks or one of the complications for you is to try to separate the two. Because it took me a while, but there's actually an outer sort of egg and then there's this inner one. And the two are not necessarily in competition, but I do think one has to happen first. So prioritization is going to be key. Pushing back on some of the deadlines and some of the expectations is key. And really defining what expectations are, I think, is important. Like, some of you might be grouping everything together when in fact there are actually more steps, more levels, or more people involved. So once you clarify what it is you're doing and maybe see the 2 or 3 parts to it, then it's going to be a lot easier than trying to kind of like deal with everything at once. So kind of phasing things out in a project sort of timeline with milestones. At least 2 milestones is going to be key. Getting additional help is going to be key. Being patient for some things is also going to be important, okay? Let's now look at the rest of the cards. Right at the center, we have the Phoenix card, which is Judgment. And for me, Judgment is often about a decision. When it's reversed, it's about a decision that is delayed or one that you're having a hard time either accepting or making. The cool thing about this one being titled Phoenix means that whatever setback, whatever complication exists, you're going to rise above. You might actually find that an initial failure yields a better result in the long run. So from the sort of leftovers or the ashes of one project, idea, job, situation, etc., you're going to build a stronger foundation for something else. And in fact, your crowning card is the Tower, which is about rebuilding. The toughest part for many of you is just getting to that place where you feel like it's okay to either accept what's given to you or to make the decision to basically step into the new opportunity in front of you. The solution for this, thankfully, is seen in the center card, the Two of Wands. The traditional Two of Wands would show somebody holding a globe with a couple of wands on either side of them. And that's showing, of course, what we were talking about earlier, that you might need to separate something into milestones, but it's also about making peace with where you're headed and knowing where you're going. Because if you don't know where you're going, or if you don't understand the purpose, or if you don't believe in the path ahead of you, then you're just ambling around. It's kind of like you're a vagabond or the fool. And it's much more powerful to feel prepared, to understand where you're going, and then to at least kind of have some knowledge of why this is all unfolding. Now, this particular Two of Wands shows a couple of nests here, which is showing me that it may be necessary for you to, instead of picking up and moving, which is what the Tower can be, it can also show a period of time when you're displaced. So I want you to be able to feel like you're at home if you're going to be displaced somewhere for work, for instance. And if you're going to be there for an extended amount of time, if you can't put your grounding or your roots down, then you're not going to be able to concentrate. If you're in the process of relocating, of separating, divorcing, for some reason you don't have a home base, this is saying make one wherever you're at. Home is where you are, and it can be as sort of settled in as you want it to be. So if you're going to be in an apartment, in a hotel, crashing on someone's couch, wherever it's going to be, you have to find a little bit of stability in that situation. Even if you can see that I'm not going to be here forever, I see where I'm going, that space has to feel okay. You have to find something solid to ground you. So there may be a side step to getting something done, or a necessary interim move before you get to where you're going. That's one of the blocks. So if you can accept or make peace with or somehow navigate this interim step to the final step, I feel like you're going to be able to take a deep breath. Because some of you are getting frustrated that you can't just jump from point A to point C. You have this little B period in the middle, so it's A, B, C. So make peace with whatever that little thing is, that center point, and I think that everything's going to flow a lot easier then. One thing that I do see with all of this as a solution as we look in the deep past is to be an active listener. This is an Ace of Wands. It's upright. So Wands is about ideation, about taking an idea and going with it. But for some of you, you may actually learn something by listening to complaints, by listening to feedback, by really learning from whatever happened before, because it does look like some of you might be stepping in to clean up, because judgment reverse can be a bad decision. The Tower in the crowning position can show that things are kind of out of sorts, that you're going to have to go and find order in disorder. And part of that, for those of you that might be stepping into a marriage where maybe there's an extended family and you're trying to kind of bring order to something where there hasn't been a lot, or you're a manager stepping into a position where the manager hasn't been there for a couple years, you have to listen. You have to understand what's going on. Because if you don't know how people feel, if the empathy isn't there, then they're not going to be able to connect with you. So listening is the most powerful thing you could do this month, actually, when it comes to getting control over situations. Because there's some great insight. You'll be able to take a kernel of an idea and develop it to something better. And again, this is the kind of rising from the ashes. There's something that was useful in whatever didn't work before. You can take that kernel and rebuild upon it. So we see the old and the new here, and you're going to be able to bring something new that's better from this. It's going to be an evolution of an idea. So I'm excited for many of you. I think that if you can just get past the frustration of it's going to take more time, there's more parts, and you're going to need more people involved than you thought, then everything will start to make sense. Now, for those of you that are thinking this doesn't apply, judgment reverse. This is saying this month you just need to be open-minded, okay? So with people, with situations in your life, don't always think that everything you see is going to be face value. There's a lot of things underneath the surface. Also, I think things will be multi-layered. So if you have a feeling like something's going to be really easy, just put a little bit more padding and timing in it, because you may find by the end of the month, whatever it is, whether it's a repair on a car, repair on a house, trying to meet a friend, there's going to be some complications and you need to just have a little bit more time. I still think active listening is good for all of you. So that's what I see with all of those. As we look at recent past, we have the Page of Wands, a lot of wands here. Now the page is about being able to communicate it. The interesting thing here is that we have the mime, which is not what I would normally think of in a page card. So this is showing that you want to pay close attention to nonverbal communication, your nonverbal communication, and also the cues that you're getting from other people. So they may say one thing, but their body language is reading completely opposite, in which case you want to dig a little deeper. So again, there's something about going beneath the surface, about things being a little bit more multi-layered than you think, or multi-dimensional than you think. I definitely get that energy from this. And as you start to kind of get into that, you're going to get a better understanding of what's going on. The Tower. This is a month of change. And it's interesting because a lot of times, due to holidays, etc., December can be a sort of sleepy month, but not for you, not for this sign. There's a chance this month to rebuild, to walk away, to start something new. And for many of you, it can just show that you're not feeling grounded, because that, in essence, is what the Tower is a feeling of being out of sorts or between two places. And that's what we see here. So just to understand that once you kind of get a handle on where you're headed, you're not going to be as upset about the move that's happening or the change that's happening. In the near future, we have the Strength card. So this is all about what we saw here in the channeled message, taking care of yourself. and knowing that once you've done that, you have exactly what it takes for the journey ahead. And that's ultimately what we see with strength. It's also a very divine feminine card. So I would say second only to the Empress. So you're going to be the one calling the shots. Don't be afraid to speak up. Strength can be nonverbal, so how you act, how you hold yourself, and also what actions you take in your life, walking the walk basically. You can't just sort of say one thing and do another. Everything has to come into focus this month, and when it does, then people will rally behind you and see you as a leader. As we look at your ego this month, we have a card that's indicative of a lot of work to do, the Five of Wands. And I do like this one though, because we have a dragon here showing that as you start to kind of continue this work, you're building momentum, you're building power. I don't see a dragon as a weak card at all, or a weak symbol, I should say. But the Five of Wands shows that there's ebbs and flows to the activity. Some days with Five of Wands, you wonder, like, why am I doing this again? That's when you go back to the Two of Wands, resetting expectations, looking at goals, not being afraid to slide them back and forth a little bit so that you are constantly making the best possible trajectory that you can. The good news is, as we look here at your environment card, we have the Ten of Pentacles. And the Ten of Pentacles is a card of a return on your investment. It's also showing that you're ready for a next phase, but the reversal of this is saying not quite yet. And in fact, what's important here, because this shows me how you interact with people around you, is that I feel like many of you give more than you receive. So this is about setting expectations, balancing things out a little bit so that you don't get sick, so that you're not missing something key that you're responsible for. So basically, delegate where possible, say no if you need to, ask for help when you need that as well, and make sure that everybody is carrying the load equally. Even though it's not Ten of Wands, the same energy goes into this. One person can't hold everything or be responsible for everything. I like Ten of Pentacles ultimately though, because it shows a connection of friends, of family, of coworkers, and it shows that there's a lot of love and support there, which we saw way back here. So I think that the more you can kind of get people invested in what you're trying to do, the more help that you're going to have, the more that you're not going to feel alone. So there's an illusion of isolation, perhaps because some of you are perfectionists or just don't want to ask for the help, but it's there, okay? This is not the month when you want to make a major investment of money or to kind of overcommit yourself, and that's why that card's reversed there. It's just cautionary. So take care of yourself and try to rein it in a little bit, okay? This is setting you up for success. This is the Ten of Wands card that I was hoping to see, and Ten of Wands is a completion of a task. This is also about an inevitable move for many of you or some traveling. And so we have quite a few cards showing that. The Tower card, the Judgment card, and the Ten of Wands. That's a decision to walk away from something and walk towards something new. And that's what it is, one to another. You have to leave something to allow for a creation of something else. And if you don't, that's the trade-off. You may be able to stay behind, but you're going to lose that opportunity. So you and only you can kind of decide if it's worth going after. But based on the first card that I pulled, I think it is. There's something really exciting. There's a little level of unknown, but that's also something that's inherent to growth. We always have risk. We always have to kind of take a leap of faith. Your outcome card is the Poet here, the King of Scrolls, which is King of Swords. I like that this is in your outcome, and whether it's upright or reversed, it's showing that you have a lot of power this month. Your voice, your actions, your persona, it's something that it's going to be hard to kind of go into the shadows. You have to step up this month. The card in reverse is encouraging you to speak your truth. There's always a little bit of a caution with a reversed King of Swords to try to communicate in a way that is kind but direct. And I think as long as you do that, then you're going to be fine. But you are possibly going to have a difficult communication, and whether this is approaching someone because they're unaware of a situation that's bothering you, or because you see a solution that's going to save time and money, since we saw that resource card in reversed, whatever it is, I believe that you will be positioned to do this in a way that is strong, direct, and kind. We all have to step up sometimes and talk to somebody. And I think this month, you're going to be challenged to use your voice, and it's going to create positive change in your life. The Phoenix, in particular, is something that I'm drawn to again. And it's almost as if that's That's kind of what this is all about. Here's the egg, here's the phoenix coming from the egg. But in order to get there, you have to let go of something, you have to make a change, you have to speak up. And so that's the central sort of message as I'm looking at the Celtic Cross. Let's expand the forecast. We're going to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. As I look through these lenses, I'll get some additional insights by kind of combining the cards that we've already pulled with the oracle cards here. So we'll start with a health message. Health is mind, body, and spirit. And the card was reversed here, but I'm going to pull it up right so we can look at it. It says infinite abundance, and we have Ganesha here. Obstacles are being removed, spiritual support and connections are increasing. So the obstacles are not actually obstacles. They might be momentary delays. They may also be course corrections. A lot of times when I have an interruption or some sort of block that won't allow me to focus, I find that I catch a mistake in something that I was doing, whether it was a reading or something that I'm preparing that's written, or if I was on the phone with someone and then I have to come back in a moment because there was an interruption. When I come back the second time, I have a different sort of energy and a different perspective. So your blocks, your interruptions this month are not there to agitate. That's why this is coming through in health. Take a step back, relax, and take advantage of the delay. It could be there so you could simply rest and take care of yourself and to nurture, to nourish, to relax. In doing that, you're going to gain perspective and you're going to be able to be more productive, as I've said before. If you need help, ask for it. Ganesha is the ultimate sort of symbol of being able to overcome an obstacle. So this could be a friend, it could be a doctor, it could be someone in your life that's waiting to give you a solution to help you find your way out. So basically this is just saying you're not alone. And I think that's going to be the most important thing when it comes to health this month, is to realize that the only isolation right now that exists is self-imposed. So reach out. You've got a lot of love and support. We see it here with both the Ten of Pentacles and the Ten of Wands. Those are loved ones, community, co-workers. There's a lot of people, a lot of energy around you that wants to help. One last note is I'm just looking at the cards in the center. I would say moderation's really key. We have two tens and they're opposing. Ten of Wands, Ten of Pentacles. The Ten of Pentacles was reversed, the Ten of Wands was upright. Pentacles is about what your resources are. It can also even be food. Try not to overdo it when you are eating or what you're eating. If it's too much of one thing, make sure that there's enough balance. Ten of Wands is about being able to move on and again, sort of not taking on too much. So I think that work-life balance is key, diet is key, and those are the main things that I'm seeing here. With the Tower card in the crowning position, I always want you to be careful in anything that you're doing. So whether it's work or even recreation, just make sure that you're fully present. This can show that there is a tendency for you to be careless and there can be an accident or injury that results from that. Normally, this deck you see Kali, but normally you would see a person falling from a tower. So it can be a trip, it can be a fall, it can be a mistake that's avoidable. So just make sure that you take your time. And patience was one of the key things that I said earlier that's going to help you. So just don't rush anything, and I think that's going to really benefit you across the board. The message in wealth is about perception. For me, wealth is not just money, but it's also opportunities. Things are better than they seem. And we actually have that heart energy that I was seeing, that green heart energy, and we have another egg indicated here. So I see multiple opportunities opening up. And I think that it could be in your network of friends and family, and that's what we have here with the Ten of Wands and the Ten of Pentacles. So for those of you that are trying to find a new job, trying to find assistance, trying to find an idea, it's right there around you, so don't be afraid to reach out. The other thing is you can create something from scratch. There are so many cards here of divine creation, whether it's masculine or feminine, it doesn't matter. This and this is about the kernel of an idea. This is about owning that idea. This is about sharing that idea with the world. And this is also about seeing the value in that. So if you believe it, if you start to get people excited about it and you really present it in a way that is undeniable, then you're going to get the Ten of Pentacles and the Ten of Wands that I see here, and it's going to move forward, okay? The other thing that I'm seeing with all of this is that it's important to realize that change is necessary this month. We have the butterfly here, and this is showing me that if you were really stuck on one way of doing something, that has to sort of give a little bit. Or maybe it's your boss or it's someone else that is in your life. The Judgment card in reverse has to do with opening your perspective in your mind to another way, another alternative. And then that is going to allow you to get to the next level. Let's look now at love. I mentioned earlier that you need to sort of find a way to feel at home or feel grounded, and that's what we see lacking here. It says, go deep, explore your roots, and the whole message is about finding grounding. Whenever you have the Tower card, this shows things being in sort of disarray or not being as tidy as they need to be. So with your relationships, that means if there's anything that has been swept under the rug or is unspoken but needs to be brought into the light of day, this is the time to take care of it, even if it's uncomfortable. That's what we see here with the King of Swords. But notice that this is not a harsh King of Swords. It says the poet. This is about diplomacy. Even if you have to say something really direct, you can do so in a way that sounds beautiful. So use your words, use your timing, use your nonverbal cues, something we saw with the mime here. Smile, have an open posture, listen. All of these things are going to open up that other person to maybe looking at it from a different perspective as well. For those of you that might be looking to bring in some sort of a new partnership, whether it's work or romantic, I do see one strong connection here. We have the Strength card and the King of Swords reversed. So this is showing me someone that's really direct. It can also be someone with darker features. And I would say with this, this could be someone who has a very paternal or maternal energy as well. So for you, this could be a nice compliment because it feels like oftentimes you've been the one taking care of others. So as you start to open yourself up, you bring in that complementary energy. You're no longer trying to control everything. And then someone sees you as an equal, and it's a very sort of nice thing. This is a way to manifest a partner if you're looking for one. In existing relationships, it's about balancing out the sort of dynamic of power. You don't have to do it all. And when you let go a little bit, it encourages other people to step up. And they'll either step up or perhaps step out, and that's what we saw with the Tower card. So if you are getting out of a relationship, know it's for the best. This is because that person couldn't meet you on the level. They aren't the divine partner that you were looking for. You're going to make room so that a better fit can come through, okay? Let's go ahead now and move along to your Destiny card. For me, Destiny is a trajectory in which you're headed. It's a series of sort of steps that you're taking towards an end, but you can always choose to change that. This is all about free will. And we have a card here that shows you at the center of that free will. It says, Magical Map Shifter. For me, this is a nice kind of connection with the Two of Wands, where normally you would see that map. So once you know what you want, and once you give yourself permission to do what you want, especially if it was in conflict with something that a mother, father, boss, family member, friend said that you couldn't do, then all of a sudden you've opened that passage. It becomes possible. But you have to believe it, you have to feel it, you have to see it, and almost energetically hold on to that for a second and think, yeah, I could do this, I could have this. When that happens, then it starts to come into your energy. So I think this month it's about giving yourself permission to try something new and to leave something old that doesn't fit. Kali is a god of destruction, but it's also a creative force. It's kind of like for those of you that garden or work on a farm, you have to get rid of all of last season's growth or crop. You have to till the land. You have to go in there and kind of make space. Otherwise, nothing could grow if all of the old stuff was kind of littering the way. So you're going to do some clearing and cleaning this month, and it's going to open up some ideas for some of you. You might hear something or gather something from this sort of general housekeeping that you're doing, which we talked about way at the beginning. And then from that, as we look hopefully next month at January, there'll be some kernels of hope and decisiveness for where you want to go, okay? So I'm really excited overall with what I'm seeing here. Yes, there's something a little bit challenging that you have to grapple with. It comes through as cognitive to me because frankly, it's already underway. Judgment is a very sort of mental card. It's one where you already know what you have to do, and it's either about accepting it or just kind of like going to the next step. And the Tower doesn't leave much room for interpretation. Usually when a Tower event happens, it's very clear that you have no other way to go but forward, because whatever you were in or whatever you were experiencing, it's falling apart. So that's one thing that I'd like to highlight before we do the review. You have a chance right now to avoid an unnecessary sort of breakdown of a situation. We didn't get the 10 of Swords here, but we got the other two 10s. And so I see that potential here because we have the 10 of Pentacles and we have the 10 of Wands. And so I think that you can avoid having an argument. You can avoid any sort of feeling of failure or disappointment simply by looking at a situation and thinking, it's time now to move on. I'm ready for that. I'm actually excited or inspired by the possibilities on the horizon. And that's what we see here. So you have to give yourself a chance to dream this month and think that any sort of end is actually a new beginning, okay? So let's go ahead now. I'm gonna pull the camera down. We'll review everything that we talked about, and then I'll leave you with the closing word. Your channeled message this month was to take care of yourself and do something that brings you joy. By nurturing and nourishing yourself, you are actually more capable of creation, and you're gonna be more able to see what's in front of you, what you can actually do. Notice the two different indications of an idea or a germinating idea, a genesis, or even a baby in your life. In order to see that, you have to be able to be present and be healthy. If you're taking on too much, you're actually sort of blocking that creation or delivery of an idea. So a big message here was self-care, and through that self-care, you're going to be more successful. The catalyst, which I've been holding here, is all about seeing something and bringing it to fruition, but not rushing it. Sometimes we want to kind of get from point A, in this case, to point C, but there's a missing point in between. I feel like some of you need to look at a bigger project, a bigger plan, and see that there are multiple layers, see that there's more than one set of hands that's necessary to do the job. And once you've done that, you're going to be able to successfully move forward. The center card is about either arriving at a decision or accepting one. The great news here is that the Phoenix is about recovery and being perhaps stronger for walking away from something. There is room for someone, something better, but you have to sort of give yourself time and space to decide what that is. Some of you may find yourself between a job or between a living situation. The message here was also to stay grounded and feel like wherever you're at is home. We saw that here in the love area as well. Listening is very important, but especially this month because it could lead to a germination of an idea. That could be one of the eggs that we were looking at here. So give yourself time to listen, give yourself time to think and to brainstorm. Something that didn't work before could work now. Nonverbal communication is more important than it usually is this month. We have a page card, but the interesting thing is this page is about nonverbal cues, picking up on what is not being said or the tone of what's being said. It's not just the words. So pay attention to body language, facial expressions, and the tone. That's going to say so much more than the words themselves. The whole month is being crowned by a card of reconstruction, sometimes destruction, but in order to make progress, you have to sometimes tear things down. That's what the Tower is allowing you to do this month. When we look at near future, this is really underlining how important it is to take care of yourself, because your body, your mind is going to be key to being able to deliver not just the idea, but ultimately the message and the articulation of that. So you have to be strong in mind, body, and spirit in order to bring all of this change into action. As we look now here at your ego, just don't give up. The Five of Wands is not always a card indicating how much progress you've made, but it is showing you that the work is worthwhile. We have a dragon here showing great strength. Just stay on top of things and I think you'll be fine. Two 10s as we look at environment and hopes, fears, and opportunities. In the environment, we have the 10 of Pentacles showing me that there's a lot of assistance if you need it. It also shows that you might have in the past had a habit of doing too much for others. You want to set the scales into balance this month and ask for help. Also, say no occasionally. 10 of Wands, once you do this, you can move forward. You have more power, you have more energy, you have more respect. This is important. This is also an inevitable card showing that it's time to move on. Judgment, Tower, 10 of Wands. Definitely showing graduation, showing a new job, a new living situation, a new relationship. Something about your life this month is walking away from the old and creating something new. Your words are powerful this month. You have great capacity for diplomacy. Don't be afraid to speak your truth. Just choose the time and the words that make sense to deliver that message, and you should be put into a really good position. Any blocks that are appearing, whether they are in health or in any part of your life, they're actually there to help you. You have more assistance than you could imagine, so reach out to that help. Ganesha is there to basically take these blocks and remove them or help you understand why they came there in the first place. When we look at wealth, perception is everything. You may decide now that what you've been doing is not the best task here. We have basically an ownership card here. These are both divine feminine cards, or just basically like a king or a queen energy that I'm seeing. So some of you might be deciding that it's time for you to break out and do your own thing, and you get an idea for a new business, or you get an idea for a product or a service that you could patent, and that gets really exciting. It could also be about stepping into power and saying, I'm ready to do this. I want a different job, or I want to step into a new role at work. There's some sort of change when it comes to relationships or work this month that seems pretty big. As you're doing all of this, stay grounded. This month probably is not the best time to start a new relationship. It's a better time to get grounded in your own health, your own happiness, and to take any existing relationships and bring those scales into balance. Most importantly, I think you want to spend some time prior to January 1st on figuring out where you want to go in 2020. This is the time to do the planning. And I see one more circle. We have all of these sort of circles or eggs. You're going to be starting new cycles next year. It looks very fruitful as well. So I want you to believe in your own power, your own insight, and know that once you know where you're headed, the Two of Wands, you're going to be able to bring that forth and bring that into fruition, okay? Really exciting month, some very important messages. I think if you can get behind some of that, you're going to feel invigorated rather than feeling overwhelmed, okay? That's my purpose each and every month. So hopefully you got the guidance that you needed, but if you ever feel like you'd like to chat a little bit more about something that was covered in this general reading, or if there's something going on in your life that you just need some more insight on, feel free to reach out to me. You can click on the first card in the video or the first link below it. That'll take you to my booking site where you can check out rates and availability. And if after looking at that it makes sense and you want to book it, then go ahead, and I look forward to seeing your name on my calendar. Otherwise, if you just want to say thank you for the time and energy that I put into these videos, then there's a very easy way that you can help out. By clicking on the second card or the second link, this will take you to a page on my website where it outlines all the different ways you can become a patron. This includes making a contribution through PayPal, joining me on Patreon, or even now clicking the join button here on YouTube. For anybody that's done this in the past, I'd just like to say thank you. Everything that you see today is a direct result of that support. And if you're thinking of doing it in the future, I'd just like to say thanks as well. You're making this possible for everybody else. Finally, but definitely not least, I would say if you want to make an impact that just involves a few clicks, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you click on the third card and third link, this will connect you with all the different platforms I'm on, namely Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and my newsletter, plus here, of course, on YouTube. And when you share what you see here on your social media platforms, it helps me with one of my planetary goals, which is to really provide light, insight, and to help people become light workers as well. This is all supposed to sort of open you up and give you the skills that you need to make great decisions. So when you do that, I just want to let you know that you help me, you help other people, and I really appreciate it. I'd like to leave you now with your closing word. This is a month that is punctuated by change and decisions. We saw the change in the form of the Tower. We saw the decision right at the center with this Phoenix card. And from this, there can be a kernel of something new that grows. What you want to spend the bulk of this month doing is planning, meditating, making some decisions about what your vision is for yourself, not just for the next few months, not just for right now. This is about really long-term goals and plans. That's essentially what the Two of Wands is about. Looking at the 5-year plan, the 10-year plan, what you want to do even into retirement. The more you can kind of project out, the easier it's going to do to make, or I should say the easier it's going to be to make some of these decisions along the way. And as you do this, you're going to be able to have the faith and even sort of like the enthusiasm to take that step. The 10 of Wands is often, it can be a celebratory card of some levels, because you feel like, finally I got through this. I finally was able to see this through. And as you do this, you're able to take more ownership, more control, and have a little bit more balance in your life. But there is a lot of responsibility that's coming towards you this month to say what you want, what you don't want, how much you're willing to take on. And basically, this is a very sort of adult lesson and reading at the end here. But when you own all of this, when you're strong, then you pull in that same sort of strong energy in future partnerships and also just all around you in opportunities. So this is allowing you to really balance out and reset your love, your energy, and the resources in your life. So I'm excited about that for you, okay? Very good month. Yes, there's some difficult decisions and some things that you're gonna have to say, but you're gonna feel better after you do it, okay? So that wraps everything up for December. It's been such a pleasure to read for everybody this year, and I just wanna say thank you. I hope that the December holiday season is kind for those of you that are celebrating any sort of holidays this month. And if you're not, I still want to wish you a happy New Year's, because this is a really important month, not just in what we read, but in setting those goals. And I think the work that you're doing right now is going to make 2020 amazing. I can't wait to get into the readings for 2020. You'll be seeing that shortly after the 1st, so keep an eye on this channel for more updates. Between now and then, I wish you love, happiness, and prosperity, not just in this season, but throughout the entire year, okay? Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your journey. I'll see you all very soon.